for the day for to master class. Okay, so let me wait for 1 or 2 minutes and then we just get started with our today's concept. So today, what are the things that we're going to cover is we're going to cover about JavaScript engines, and we're just going to cover about JavaScript runtime environments. Okay, so this is the two things that we're going to cover. So we're going to see about what is JavaScript engine and JavaScript runtime environment, and how JavaScript by nature, what it is, JavaScript it is asynchronous or asynchronous, and everything that we're going to cover it here. Okay, and that is not going to end within our week. We are not able to cover all the asynchronous process, we are not able to cover callbacks. And async and await, we're going to have promises, and those things we are not able to cover it in here. So we're going to look into the default behavior of JavaScript and how it is working with the JavaScript, all those things that we're going to see it. And once we completed that one, once we get this understanding, then in the upcoming webinars and the upcoming live classes, you can get the continuous version of this one. You will get that, or I will give you where you can see that is the next thing. Once you completed this 4 days, if you want to continue with the with these concepts, and what are the next concepts that you want to learn, where you can learn it, I will tell it in the end of the live where you can do this and everything. Okay, so now I just going to share. If you are just in the chat box, tell it in the chat box, so you are in means. Okay, so today the same procedure is going to be same. Then attendance form will be shared, and if you are complete, like completely watch all the 4 days of live classes, and you fill the attendance, means you will get a participation certificate, and you will get notified by Nabidu Business. Okay, it's through LinkedIn. Okay, you will get it before Monday. You will receive your JavaScript certificate. Okay, and if you are not in WhatsApp group, I will share the WhatsApp group link also. You can join with us in the WhatsApp group link. There, once the certificate is released, you will get notified. The certificate is released, you can check with the mail, like that you will get notified, and all the upcoming programs and events will be shared with you. Okay. Okay, so this is our restream. Let's we go for our application. This is what we are working with. Okay, so right now what we going to discuss is going to be first JavaScript engines. So how JavaScript is engine is working, what is meant by JIT compilation. So that is we going to discuss whether JavaScript is an interpreter and or compiler, what is that and how it is working and everything. The engine, how the engine internal workings of engine, that we going to cover up today. So I'm just going to say. Okay, sorry for that. And we're just going to see about the engine. For that, let us go for Google. Okay, so let's we type for JS engine. Okay, so JavaScript engine. Okay, so you can see the JavaScript engines are so many. Okay, so what is how JavaScript, what is the use case of JavaScript engine? So JavaScript engines are help to convert the JavaScript code file to the browser, because JavaScript is a by default, it's going to be, we're going to write whatever we are writing it in a basic English language, right? So that's what we are writing, but the browsers and the computers will understand only zeros and ones, right? So how the JavaScript is understandable by all the browsers? Because of this engines only, JavaScript is understandable by all the browsers. Then who created this engine? Well, these engines are created by the browser developers. Okay, so these engines are created by the browser developers. If it is Google, then Google have their own JavaScript engine. If it is Firefox, Firefox has their own JavaScript engine, and like that, each and every browser going to have a JavaScript engine. Okay, to understand the JavaScript code, they developed a translator that is going to be an engine, and with the help of this engine only, JavaScript code is converted to the low level language, bytecode, or whatever the code that we can give it. You can give it machine language, low level language, bytecode. It's just going to convert your JavaScript code, and which is understandable by basically by the computer, and it is going to work. And that is what we're going to see how it is working. Okay, let me see how what is happening here. And you can see this one. Okay, so they have mentioned JavaScript source, compiler, bytecode, JIT compilation, and something. Okay, so the main, what is the diagram that we actually want is, something like this one. you can see a clear understanding with this one. So let me open it, and block by DigitalOcean, I think so, yeah. So this diagram, I have a clear picture of it. So what does that means? Once we write on our we're going to write our code. Okay, so what will happen? So what the JavaScript engine is going to do is, the JavaScript engine is going to convert our code. So how it is going to convert means, you can able to see this process, right? So this process is happen inside the JavaScript engine. So once our code, whatever the code file that we are giving, it is go, and first step is it will parse it down. So whatever the language it may be, it is going to parse down. Okay, so what is going to be parsed down? So like breaking down into small pieces. For example, if you have created a function, okay, so the function keyword is breakdown, and the keyword is breakdown, the keyword is keep it separate, and the function name is keep it as separate, and the parameter name is keep it as separate, and the variables, whatever the variables, returning words, and every data of a particular code that you have written, it's going to be keep it as separate. Okay, so likewise it is going to cut it down, like pass it down. Okay, pass it out into a small piece, and which all are the space, what all are the data and requirements you need, it's just going to take the value and it's going to fill it up. That's what going to happen first one. And next one is going to be abstract syntax tree. Once it is passed down all the code, it is going to create an AST. So what is mean by AST? AST is nothing but a tree like hierarchy. So if you know DOM, so it is an AST, abstract syntax tree. So it forms a tree like hierarchy. It forms a tree like hierarchy with HTML. Like it will create an H code, and that it will create, you can able to see the DOM code. I will see AST. What is that? DOM tree. Like this, you can able to see something like this, right? So this is what abstract syntax tree. Okay, so it will create a function and function name, and with the help of whatever the passed value that has happened, it is going to create an abstract syntax tree. Okay, and then it will pass it to an interpreter. So now you can understand, well, JavaScript is going to interpret the language, right? So it is an interpreter language, so which is JavaScript code is executed by line. Yes, of course, it is going to execute line by line. And when initially JavaScript was introduced, it is an interpreter language only. Okay, so it is a interpreter language only. So it is going to execute the code line by line. So it is going to execute it. What the interpreter is going to do means, it is going to convert the code, our JavaScript code, into bytecode. So bytecode is something, a small low level programming language, like that. This code is only understandable by the browser. Okay, it is not like low level like zeros and ones. It is something that is understandable by the browser, like low level. The syntax is exactly similar like that low level bytecodes. Okay, so which means it is exactly similar by the computers. That's what it is. Okay, so that's what it will do. So, but then what is this? What is this process? Once we have completed, and what is this process? Well, so whenever we are speaking with interpreter, there is a problem with interpreter languages. So what is an interpreter language? What is the difference between an interpreter language and a compiler language? Okay, so what is the difference between interpreter language and a compiler language is, compiler, in while you compiling the code, what is the difference is, interpreter reads the code by line. So which means it will starts off quickly. So when you write a code, so the initial start is quick. Okay, so it is going to read the program quickly, it is going to execute quickly, the initial phase is quick. Okay, it is going to execute the code quickly. But what is the problem with the interpreter is, whenever we are writing repeated code, okay, so whenever language sees some repeated codes like functions, event listeners, what can I say, timers, and like this loops, and those are repeated code, right? So they're going to run a certain function again and again and again, it is going to run it. So during that time, the interpreter will not that good. Why? Because the repetition code slows down the process of the interpreter. So which means, so the execution is fast, initial stage is fast, but if your program has more number of repeated codes, then it slows down. Okay, so the application is going to be slows down. That's what happened with the interpreter. So what does a compiler do? What is a compiler tool means? So a compiler, what it will do means, if I give a code, okay, if I give a code, a compiler take the code and it will create its own code, which means it is go and check whether what all are the way that I can optimize my code, and I can come up with come up with my code. So that's some optimized way. So if I do some repeated code, what it will do the whatever the possibilities it can do, it can just do it, and it just come up with a solution how to stop the repetition. So if someone asks it, instead of writing the running the whole process, how can I just deliver the answer like that, it will come it. Okay, so like you can came up with a word like clean code, writing optimized code. So what is mean by that? So it's just simple. It is understandable by the compiler. So if you are writing some good codes, so then the compilation is happens very quick. So something that supports the compiler to do that, and something that interpreter that's what we will do it. So that's what compiler is. And the advantages with compiler is when you have some repeated code, so the compiler is not going to harm anything. So it's going to execute it. It is not going to slow down or anything. But initially the compiler need to take some time. Okay, because it need to convert our code into an optimized code. So it need to take time. So initially it is slow, but initially it is fast. And repeated code, it is not like in compiler it not affect anything, but in interpreter it is going to affect. So that is a problem that we have. So that is why the developers, like the engine developers, who's the engine developers, the like browser developers who created their engine, so they come up with an idea. So what does that means? So that is what JIT compilation is. So what is JIT compilation is? Just-in-time compilation. Simply, when JavaScript is going to execute, so during that time, the interpreter is going to be read the code. So initially, so by the traditional way, initially JavaScript is going to execute again. Meanwhile, what is going to happen means, meanwhile, a profiler will be there. Though there is a picture is missing here. A profiler will be there. So he is continuously looking for any repetition code is executing or not. So it is continuously scan the code that is coming to the interpreter. It is going to continuously scan. So is there any repetition code is there? Like that, it will scan it. If the profiler finds any repetition codes, then it will send the code to the compiler. And the compiler converts that to a machine code. That is also a low-level language, like similar to low-level programming language. And that is going to be the bytecode. Okay, that's what it is. So simply, so in this way, what we can achieve, so initially, the interpreter is going to run the code quickly. Meanwhile, the profiler is going to check for any repetition code is going to be there or not. So if he finds anything like that, it is going to be, it's just going to send the code to the compiler, and the compiler is going to create an optimized code for us, and then it will be shown to us. So in this time, the repetition code is also with the help of the compiler, we can do it. So it's a combination of two things, interpreter and compiler. So if someone asks you what is JavaScript, JavaScript is an interpreter language or compiler answer. The technical answer, like the answer is going to be JavaScript is by default, it is an interpreter language, like you can tell that. But technically speaking, right now JavaScript, it can able to compile the code also, and it can work in the compilation also. Like how Python will work, it is an interpreter and both compilers. Same like the JavaScript also, you can able to compile the code and also you can able to interpret the code. Okay, so that's what happening, and that is what this this process is of. Simply the code, pass it down, create a tree, and interpreter initiate the code quickly, and a profiler will be there, scans the entire code and look for anything to optimize. And if he finds any code that is repeating again, so he will check for it. Yes, it is a code that is again and again, so I want to create an optimized code for us. So we will create like that codes are converted to machine code, and it is sent to the bytecodes. And these bytecodes, with the help of this bytecode, the browser can understand, okay, so what's the programming that we are running. So that's what it is. Okay, so that is the problem is this engine is not only one engine we have it, right? So this engine is created by Google by different. So the Google have the different engine, they have some different methodology. And if Firefox created their engine, different methodology, and like Safari has their engine, and they have different methodology. Like that, each and every engine is created by each and every browser, and they go created by differently, right? So if I created a single code of JavaScript file in Google, it will be work fine, but in Firefox it faces some problem because that is created different, right? So that is how each and every engine is created different. So it is going to make some problems, a little bit problems will occur. So that is what 𝐏𝐚𝐫script is there. So 𝐏𝐼FE is a standard governing body. It will tell that, like, so if I give this input, this is going to be the output. Like that, it will tell that what is the like how JavaScript need to perform in your browser. It tells the rules and regulation and standard for JavaScript. It is a standard governing body for JavaScript. It tells the rules and regulation and syntax. If someone writes this code and this is going to be your output, like that, it will form some rules and regulation. And all the engines, even though they are created by different methods and methodologies, they're going to follow the ECMAScript. They are accepted the ECMAScript standard because they want to be in the browser market. They need to accept the ECMAScript standard. So they accepted it, and because of that only, ECMAScript, every time the ECMAScript is going to change. The new version is updated, and new version or new syntax is changed in ES6. So what will happen means the browser developer, they need to update their engine. So you can able to see and warning in some documentation like this is 2020 newly introduced 2022 newly introduced method. This method is not supported in Internet Explorer or Chrome, Firefox. In this browsers, these methods are not support. It will not work like that. They will give you an indication, right? So why they are giving? Because the ECMAScript is updated the syntax. So right now they need to change their engine to according to this syntax, right? So they need to update it. So that is the issue that we are having with, and that is what that's what we face it. So once all the engines are get updated and updated to the current standard of ECMAScript, then it is accessible for everyone. That's what it is. Okay, so this is what JavaScript engine, and this is just in time compilation. Okay, so that's what it is. Hi. Okay, so that's what is going to be JavaScript engine. So now let us go for what is JavaScript runtime environment. JS runtime environment. So what is meant by JavaScript runtime environment? So if I say JavaScript, right now we have discussed by default JavaScript is an interpreter, but it can able to, but technically speaking, JavaScript work with compilers too, so it can able to do that. That was just in compilations. That what do. And the Google is the one that who found the concept called just in compilation with the help of JavaScript because of the Google Map. So you know that the Google Map how it need to perform with the user interface, right? So it need to be as much as quick. You can able to see that the V8 engine is one of the fastest engine out there that will convert the JavaScript code as quick as possible. And you can able to see that if you use the Google Chrome in your Google browser, it will be work much way better than compared to other browsers because that engines is differ compared to V8 engine, right? So that's what it is. So what is JavaScript runtime environment is? So in JavaScript engine, we right now discuss only about the process, but we haven't seen the entire engine. Let me see this. They given some entire engine. No, they don't give any other picture. So you can see this one. This is JavaScript engine. Okay, so the process will takes place. It will convert the code and everything. And meanwhile, there is two things is present in the JavaScript in the top of the engine, like it will be there. So what does that means? One is memory heap and the call stack. So what is this memory heap and what is this call stack? Well, once it is passed into an abstract syntax tree and the interpreter starts to read the code, right? It is going to read the code. So during that time only, so the execution, memory allocation and the execution is going to take place. And yesterday class, we have discussed about what is call stack. So call stack is the place where the execution takes place, and memory heap is where we will store all our data and function in a place, right? So that is what the memory heap is. And call stack is the place it's going to be stored. Okay, so JavaScript by default, it is a synchronous single threaded language. So what is the meaning of this? What is meant by synchronous single threaded language? Well, JavaScript has only one call stack. JavaScript is going to have only one call stack. Okay, so it is going to whatever the process that whatever the how many function that you're going to execute, it is handled by only this call stack only. Okay, so how the call stack will perform means if you are sending a function, that function is completed, then it will remove the call stack. Okay, so the function is completed, that particular function is removed from the call stack and it goes for the next function. So that is what synchronous is. So let's like blocking the way. So what is mean by that means like it's like a bank queue. So just imagine if you or have the token of 5, okay, so then you need to wait for 4% to complete, right? Same like that. So by default, JavaScript is like that. Okay, it is a synchronous single threaded language. So it is blocking the scope, which means it is not one of the fastest language, right? So, but you can come up with the word JavaScript is one of the fastest language. How? It is a synchronous means, synchronous single threaded means it is going to block the way, which means if a response is handled by the call stack, it need to wait for the next execution too. So if more number of execution is there means it's need to wait for all the execution to complete by the call stack. And only it is go and complete it. That's what it will do it. So then how JavaScript is going to be fast? Well, The default is, by default, JavaScript is a synchronous and single thread, but with the help of this JavaScript runtime environment. So who provided this one runtime environment? Again, the browsers. With the help of this browsers only, JavaScript is achieving all the mastery things and all everything. So whatever we are discussing, it is JavaScript doing this, JavaScript doing that. With the help of the browsers only, JavaScript is performing that kind of thing. Okay, so that kind of magics we can able to do it. So synchronous is like that. It can able to handle only one thing at a time, not multiple things. Okay. So it is a block. It is like a block way of writing. And what is async is? Async is multiple, like it can handle multitasking, right? How it will work means if a process is coming, okay, so it will take the process and it will send to the server, and once the server, it is not going to wait. It is go and take the another process. It is go and take the another process, and like that it is go and take all the process, all the request that is coming. It is go and take it, and that is we can able to achieve in JS. But the default behavior of JavaScript is synchronous single threaded. But how we can achieve this asynchronous process, like the non-blocking things? How can we achieve it is with the help of the runtime environment. Help of the runtime environment. Okay, which means with the help of the browser. Okay, so you can see that I say that JavaScript, if I write some code, once the code is completed, it will go for the next code and it is going to execute the code. That is what it is going to happen. Okay, so that is what in JavaScript will normally happen. Just imagine, then what is you can understand is you cannot write something that is going to consume time. Okay, because JavaScript, what is going to happen because of this asynchronous achievability, JavaScript is going to wait for no one. Let me tell you how can I come up with asynchronous code, how it is going to helpful. Okay, so this, let me see the first of all the runtime environment. So this is an engine, right? So whenever we are executing the normal JavaScript code, that is handled by the call stack. Okay, so that is handled by the call stack. And whenever we need to handle some asynchronous process, so what is an asynchronous process? Well, which all are the process that is going to take some time to execute, that comes under the asynchronous process. For example, and fetching an API call, working with the servers, and getting like HTTP request, working with the request, and that is an asynchronous process. And call you can able to see timers. This is also comes under asynchronous process. And these is not something, these all are not native to JavaScript code, even DOM operation. Okay, so that is also an asynchronous process. So these all are not related to JavaScript. They are not native code for JavaScript. Okay, so these codes are provided by something called as web APIs. Okay, whenever we are writing these code, this is not handled by our call stack. This is not handled by our call stack, because this is an asynchronous process and it is handled by the web API, not by the call stack. Okay, it will read the code, and once it is found, it is not something related to me. What it will do, it will send the code to the web API. Okay, so that's what it will do. For example, right now let me see what is timer and how we can work with the timer and everything. So timer is, we have two types of timer: set timeout and set interval. Let me see what is set timeout is. Okay, so I'm just going to create a set timeout. Okay, and here it is going to take another function. First, it has two parameters. Okay, so the set timeout has two parameters. So the first parameter is to a function, and second parameter is going to we will tell a particular number of seconds, milliseconds. Okay, so how many seconds I need to delay this function to execute it. Okay, so for example, I create a function. And this function, you can give arrow function also. Okay, this function in the console.log, it is going to say bye. And here in the second parameter, you can tell how many minutes that you need to delay the function to execute. So how can I do it? For example, if millisecond is 1000 millisecond is equal to 1 second. Okay, so I can say like 3 millisecond. Okay, and let us go for our JavaScript engine. Okay, right now let me open with the live server first of all. Go for the console. Now you can see it is wait for 3 seconds, and after that we will receive the buy method, like whatever we are getting in the console, what we asked for it, it will be kept. For example, just save it. You can see, you can able to see the delay, right? So this is not handled by the JavaScript. So this is not a native code of JavaScript. What is this? This timer is web API. So the DOM is also in web API, and whatever the process that is having to that is used to control the asynchronous process, that is used to work with the asynchronous. Okay, so by default JavaScript is not an asynchronous. So those all are what are the methods that will follow the asynchronous process, and that is handled by this web API. You can able to see this timer. You can see this is the web API that is handling it. Now you can see it. For example, here if I write console.log 1, and here I just going to say console.log 2, and here I create another set timeout. Okay, and I just say 0. Okay, now we're going to understand what is the flow, what is the process is going to happen into it. Okay, now if I do it, and it is going to be 3, and let us going to be 4. So what is the process is going to happen is, you can able to see here console.log1 is there. So JavaScript read this code. So this is something in console I need to execute it. So it will go for the call stack, and the call stack will execute the code in the console1. And here it is set timeout. So once JavaScript read this line of code, once read it, and it will found it, well, it is something that is not related to the native JavaScript code. So what I going to do, I just going to send this entire functionality, this waiting functionality, to this web API. So from this call stack, it is go for the web API, and it is going to run for 3 seconds, right? It is going to wait for 3 seconds to complete. Once the 3 second is completed, then it is going to execute the function. So right now the 3 second is loading. So meanwhile, the call stack is going to wait for no one. JavaScript wait for no one. It is going to not going to wait for this process to complete. Okay, so what it will do, it will come to the next line of code. Again, it is a set time mode. So it is not related to JavaScript. Even though we have 0 execution count, it is not related to JavaScript. So it will send the code to again web API. Okay, so meanwhile JavaScript is not going to wait. It is going to execute the next line of code. Okay, and here what is happening is, the timers are in web API, right? So it will wait for the process to complete. So it may be here I just give the timer only. Okay, just give the timer only. You can write whatever the process, like fetching an for example an API. You are fetching an API from the other server, that is also take time, and you are loading and file, that is also going to take time, and you are going to get some data from, like working with the servers. So once something is posted, then you need to work with it, that is also going to take time. Ajax, that is also going to take time, and this timers going to take time. DOM manipulation, that is also going to take time. All the things are handled by this web APIs. Okay, it will just send the code to it. And now what will happen, once the timer is completed, meanwhile JavaScript waits for no one, it will go for the next line, it is going to execute it. Meanwhile what happens means, this timer is completed, it will come to the place called callback queue. You can see this callback queue, right? So all the process is completed, right? For example, it is 0 second, so it is complete before this one, right? It is going to complete before this one. So what will happen means, once the process is completed, that particular functionality come and store in the callback queue, the first one. So who is completing first, he will comes first, because it is a queue method. So queue is something like bank, how the bank is working, right? So first person comes first, second person comes second, like that. Okay, so what will happen, so this function is going to complete quickly, so it is going to come in the queue. Okay, so first it will comes in the queue of first, and second this function is going to complete, and it will comes under the queue. Okay, so first we have this one, which means console.log 3 is going to be there, and console.log 2 is come next to the callback queue. And here you can able to see this event loop. So what is this event loop is, the event loop is like, right now the process is completed, all the working functionality is completed, right? So what will happening, event loop is continuously look for this call stack to become empty. Okay, remember that when event loop will work means, the event loop is the one that allows whatever the following code that is in our callback queue again to the call stack. Okay, allows again to the call stack. This event loop is continuously looking for this call stack to empty. Okay, this call stack to become empty. If the call stack is not become empty, so it has some code to execute, means it is not going to execute even though you are going to write 10,000 line of JavaScript code. So the event loop is going to wait for all the code in the call stack to complete. Okay, once all the native JavaScript code is completed, then the event loop asks for the call stack, hey, I just have some 2 queue here, can right now I think you are free, can you able to run this code? Okay, so that is what happening. So now once the call stack is becomes empty, so the first process will came here, and once it is executed, it is removed from the call stack, and the second process is goes here, and once it is executed, it is came here. So what we will get the result, console.log call stack, we will get it, and it is need to wait for 3 seconds, so it is go on with the timer, and it is going to wait for 0 seconds, so it is comes in the callback queue first. And second, JavaScript is not going to wait for anyone, so in the call stack the 4 will be executed. So we will get 1, we will get 4, and right now no other code, following code is there, no native JavaScript code is there. So now the event loop is going to release this callback queue persons. So the first is console log 3 and then console log 2, right? So what is the order we will get? 1 4 3 2, right? What is the order? 1 4 3 2. This is the order that we're going to get. So let me see here, 1 4 3 2. So we want to see this. And here you are not able to see the web APIs, but you can able to see the workings, what is happening and how it is working. Okay, so I'm just going to add a snippet. I'm going to paste it here. This code. Okay, is this. Okay, and I'm just going to run it. And now what is happening? It is in the code number 1. So what we need is, we don't want the scope, we don't want breakpoints and everything. This call stack is the one that we needed. What is that? This call stack. Okay, right now anonymous is the global execution context. The call stack is not empty. That is an default call stack will be that is the global execution context. So that contains all the global variables, global methods and everything. So you can able to, if you are asking something, how we can able to access it, because that global execution context have access to this global variables and everything, so we can able to access it. That is what anonymous is. And right now I just want to execute the next line of code. I just came here, you can see console.log is there, and I just going to run the code. You can see the code is run. You can see right now it is 1, and right now it is going to read, the call stack is going to read the next line of code. I just give a code, and you can able to see what has happened. You can able to see what has happened. You can here it is the set time mode async. You can see an async is created, so that is the web API that is handling the asynchronous of code. Okay, so now what is going to happen? I just drill down here. You can see till the asynchronous is there, and it is read what I need to send for this asynchronous, which means the web API. And once it is completed, come. Okay, it is executed. Just a minute. Let me again execute it. Again come. Okay, set time out here. Yeah, now you can able to see it is in the console. Just a minute. Let me run it again. Let me remove this one. Okay, and let me run it. Okay, so we run it. We are on the console. You can able to see the 1 is executed, and the next one is, you can see the 4 is executed. So what has happened is, so like we cannot see it here, like it is a little bit moving a little bit quicker. So that is why we are not able to see it here. The 4 is completed. I can show you to fully, you can able to see here. If I click here, console, and you can able to see the console.log 4 will completed, and this is going to be there. Okay, once it is readed the code, the asynchronous is going to handle it. Meanwhile, what will happen means this will be executed. So now the async, the set time mode is handled by here, and here you can able to see what is the process it is executed, and this is executed, what are our other process will be there, it will be there, and it will came to here. Okay, so that is what happening here. So maybe let me show you. I forgot about a website that is source async JS practical practicals practical view. Mm, so there is an website. Let me check this website. So there is a website is there, and that website we can able to see what is the we can able to work it or not like that. Not particle, practical. Hmm, I forgot about the website. It is something starts with some Russian names. Okay, so we have a website, and in that website, if we write the code means you can able to see the four things. This one you can able to see, and callback queue also it will be there, and event loop will be there, and then web API will be there, and this is also will be there. And if I write some code here, okay, you can able to see in call stack what is happening, and what is web API is happening, and what is in the callback queue is happening, and everything that you can able to see, and the event loop also you can able to see it. So that is what in that website you will be see. I forgot about that website. Maybe I will share it in the WhatsApp group. If I found the website means I will share it in the WhatsApp group. Okay. So this is what asynchronous process. So simply asynchronous is something but non-blocking. So if I'm writing some code, so I don't want to block the code that something to execute it. So what can I do with? So whenever it some time taking consuming process will be there. Okay, it just go and execute the code. Okay, just go to the web API and it is going to be execute the code, and that is what going to happen. Okay, so during that time we're going to have a problem. So what is a problem? Like we lost our control, so that is what it is. The sequence control is missed. That's what's going to happen. Let me see. What is this? Not for Greek. For Greeks, that is an GitHub repo. So where we can visually see the happenings, like we can able to see the call stack, and we can able to see and web API, and we can able to see the callback queue and event loop also. Where if I write some code, so it will come to callback, and it will send the code to the web API. Visually we can able to see it. The JavaScript runtime. Yeah, I got it. Got it the correct word prompt to get this. Yes, runtime environment visual explanation. That where if I see it, I can say this one JavaScript runtime environment online. Let me check this one. Not this one. That is something starts with some Russian names. Okay, just forgot about that one. So that is what it is. Okay, okay. I will share it in the group. If I found it means I will just share it in the group where we can visually see the, like here we are not able to see it, right? So you can able to see the call stack and async. That is how it is there. But there you can able to see the entire process is happening, like an anime. It will be there, and I can show you. But right now it's not there. I will share with you later. Okay. So the code I will share with you. Okay, so here what is the problem is, in asynchronous we can able to achieve the asynchronous process, and we can able to work with that with the help of runtime environment. The problem is we lost the sequence control. So what is meant by sequence control? Well, imagine that if I need to JavaScript, because of this behavior JavaScript is going to execute all their native codes, and whatever the code that is given by the browser supporting APIs that is giving, it is not going to wait for those things. So what if I need to wait? How can I make the JavaScript to wait? Okay, for example, I need to run something after this code is completed, after this function is completed. So which means I need to wait for this function to complete, right? I just want to wait for this asynchronous process to complete. This run, it is need to go for the web API and everything to complete. And once it is completed, okay, once it is completed, then only I need to execute the code. For example, I need this in this way, right? 1, 2, 3. So right now, if I run this code, what we will get? We will get 1, 3, and after 2 minutes we will get 2, right? So this is what we will get. So what if I want to achieve, if I want to control it, and I need to get like 1, and I need to wait for this code to complete. So this is a time taking process, and I need to wait for this process to complete, and after that only I need to run this code. How can I do it? So why actually we need it? Well, think about that when you are working with an API. Okay, so the API, if you want to fetch something from an API, it is going to take some time, and you need to wait for the entire, it is going to reach the server, and it is need to fetch the data, and you need to wait for the data to fetch. Okay, once the data is fetched completely, then only you need to take the data and you need to display it. Just imagine right now you are fetching some data. Okay, you are fetching some data, but the data is only half fetched. Right now only it is reached the server, but you display that data in your browser. What it will show? Nothing shows, right? So before the process, we need to wait for something, right? So once for example, once the photo is uploaded 100%, then only I need to view it in my profile in my story, like that, anything like that, anywhere. Okay, in my page, like that. So before that, I don't want to execute it, and those are time consuming process, right? If I want to upload something, that is a time consuming process. If it is an working with an API, time consuming process. A timer, time consuming. Timer is something that we are making things to happen, but in real world it need when we are working with server, and when we are working with mostly servers and the process response, and when we are working with those kinds of things, we need to wait for the process to complete, and then I need to execute it. So how can I do it? So that is why we have the callbacks, and with the help of these callbacks is just an introduction. So callback, with the help of callbacks, we have promises and async and await. With the help of the promises and async and await, what we can do means we can able to achieve this sequence control, and callbacks gives the sequence control. Okay, callbacks is meant for the sequence control, so where I can able to visually see that. So once this function is completed, I need to run this function. Once this function is completed, I need to run this function. Like that, in callback I can able to see it. But with the help of promises, we can actually control it and we can use it. So for time, I just going to show how promises is working, and async and await is also going to be same. So what is promises and everything, I just going to say. So simply, in promises, there is two things will be there. One is the producing code. So what is the producing code? It is a time consuming code. It is a time consuming code. Okay, that is the producing code. And the next one is going to be a consumer code. And this means code means function, producing function and consuming function. Okay, so it is going to take some time. It will take some time to execute. It may be anything. It may be working with backend, it may be working with server, it may be fetching and data from an API, or working with set time or anything. Okay, it will be there. And there will be a consuming code will be there. And the consuming code is code need to wait for producing code. Okay, so it just want to wait for it. So in our case, console.log3 is the code of consuming code we need to write, and set timeout is the time taking process. It is the producing code, right? So in producing code is the set timeout. It is going to take 3 seconds to run that function to execute it. And here console.log3 is need to wait. I need to make the console.log3 to wait to complete this process. So that's what I need to do it. So how can I do it? With the help of promises. Let me see first of all what is promises and the syntax, and then we can move it. So I'm just going to create const. I just say my promise. Okay, it is a variable. I just creating it, And working with promises, it is also in constructor, like you just want to use new and just say promise with caps letter. Okay, and here this promise, this default constructor, it is going to construct a promises for me. So what it will going to do, it simply is going to create a callback function to you. That is what it is. Okay, so what it will take means it is going to take up a function. So you can use arrow function also, but I will use normal function to just say tell it is a function. Okay, and this is going to, and here only we will write the what is the producing code. Here only we will write it. And here this function is going to have two parameter, default two parameters. It will be there. We need to give. One is resolve, and whatever the name that you want to give, you can give it. And I just going to say reject. It is a perfect name for it. So what is resolve? Well, this is another function. So that is what the callback function. So yesterday we have discussed about callback function. So what is a callback function? A function is passed as an argument to another function, right? So we're going to pass a function. Okay, that function is going to be the callback function, and that is go and store and resolve and reject. And why, what is the resolve and reject? Why there is two things will be there? Well, the promises introduced a concept called error handling. So while right now I'm going to work with the time consuming process, and I don't know whether it is going to execute or it is going to fail. I don't know whether it is going to reach the server or it is going to fail, right? So I need to send two response. If it is going to be an success, then I need to run a function to show my success status. And if it is a failure, then I need to run something to show my failure status. That's what it is. Okay. For example, here I just going to write normal code, not any time consuming code. We will achieve this functionality. Before that, we will run some normal code. So what I'm going to do, I just going to say let a equal to 10. Okay, and I say if a triple equal to 10, okay, then I just say resolve, and we know that resolve is a function. So I just going to say resolve. Here we can pass the data. What I want to pass, I just want to pass a. Okay, and here that is having, I just want to pass it. And else what I want to do, resolve, what is the value of a, not resolve, reject. And here I just going to pause it. So it is a success code and it is an error code. And here I just going to say, I just pause a. And right now it is a producing code, right? And somewhere I need to get this code. Where I can get it means, so here you can write the consuming code. So here how can you write this consuming code means? So just call the variable name my promise dot, and here you can use a word called then. Okay, what is this then is going to do means, well, this then is going to wait. This then is going to wait for this process to complete. Okay, this producing process to complete. Once the process is completed, it may take 1 hour, it may take 30 seconds, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, whenever it is going to complete, till it's going to be wait for it. Okay, so from that time it is going to be wait for it. So I just going to say promises dot then, and this then dot then. Okay, this then it's going to take two things. You can able to see, one is a function for resolve, the success ratio, and another one is a reject ratio. If I just give comma, you can see fulfilled one, and second one is rejected one. So here I just going to say, here I going to create success function. So this resolve, what is the callback? What is the function I just want to pass as a callback? Here we can pass it. So here I just going to say, okay, so here I just going to say console.log. Okay, I just say the value is I just say plus a, like this. Okay, and here if it is an error, and here I need to fetch the value, right? I just say a, whatever the value that is coming from resolve, I need to fetch it. I'm going to show it here. So that is going to be the a. And here the next one is for reject ratio. So I just going to fetch it. Okay, and here instead of value is the value is not a. If I save it, not my proof, I just made a mistake. I just my promise. Okay, Clear? Let me save it. You can see right now what we are getting. The value is 10. And here, if I change the value is equal to 0, and you can able to see the reject will be run down. The value is not 0. So the logic is wrong. Okay. So the value is not, I can write like 10. Value is not 10 is, and here you can write A. Like this. Now the logic will be right. The value is not 10 as 0. Okay, like that. Okay. So you can see this, right? So this is what it will do. Now, this is not an asynchronous process. It is a normal process. Okay. But still what is happening? So this is a resolve function. We are passing this function to this resolve function, and this resolve function is going to be used as a callback function. So whatever the producing code, the time consuming code that we're going to write, it is going to be wait for. So this callback function is going to be wait for this process to complete. So right now, let us work with this functionality. I need to run 1, 2, 3. That is what I need to run. So let me comment this one, and let me comment this one too. And we have 1. If I save it, clear? We going to have 1, right? So now what I want to do, I need to run this 2, and then I just want to run the 3. So how can I do it? How can we do this one? So we will see that how can we do it. So simply what I'm going to do is, here I just going to create the inside this. I just going to create set timeout. Okay, set timeout, and here I just going to create a function. Okay, and that function is going to say resolve. Okay, resolve going to be, and the value is 2. Okay, this is going to be the resolve, and it is going to be wait for 3 seconds. Okay, the 3 seconds it is going to be wait, and once this is going to be executed after 3 seconds, what will happen here in the console? We're going to get the resolve. We will get like after 3 seconds, we will get like the value is going to be 2. Like this we are getting. So right now what we need, not this value and everything. We just removed this one. I just want to console in the A, I just want to print it. And here I don't want any error. So I don't want that. So I just remove that also. So I just say dot then promise. Okay. Here it is going to create a function. Okay. So what is the dot then method is going to do? Well, this dot then method is going to wait for the promises to complete. So once this process is completed, then it is going to execute the value inside here. You can see after 3 seconds, it is going to execute it. So now what I want to do, once this process is completed, then I need to print 3. That is what our logic is, right? So what I'm going to do, I just going to say, this is called chaining the process. I just say then. So now what is going to happen? This then is going to wait for the producing code to complete. Once 100% the data, every data is fetched, then we're going to get it here. And once this process is completed, I going to get it here. So I just going to use again then, and I'm telling like what is the value we are getting here in the A. I just want to say console.log. I just want to say it is going to be 3. We don't want any values. Okay, we can simply say 3. And remember that don't give any colon. It is a continuous process. You can write like in one line also, but for syntax I will write like this. Now what will happen? 1, and this is going to wait for 2, and once 2 is completed, you can able to see we are getting this 3. So what has happened? This is going to wait for 3. It is going to be run after 3 seconds only. So once after 3 seconds, it is going to be completed. It is going to be executed, and I'm going to wait for this one to complete this one. And remember that this syntax, promises syntax, is used, this is the exact syntax that is used, and JavaScript, the browser created something called as fetch. So in fetch, you will work like this, like not this one. So what is this fetch used for us? Then this one, and you will have another dot, then this one. So this is in background. You can able to see that you will get in background. You will see that you will get the promises, the exact promises syntax only executed. So what is this fetch is used for? Is the fetch is a like the newly introduced one, that is used by the browsers. So in before that, if I want to communicate with an API, if I want to work with an API, either I want to use Ajax, so that is an, sorry for that, so that is an old school, that is an old school method, and we want to work with some third party libraries. So right now, so how the web API, the fetch is also an web API, so they introduced this fetch to work with the server, to work with the APIs, okay, so other APIs. So here you can put your API link, so it is going to fetch all the data, and once the data is fetched 100%, then it is going to execute what it need to do. So either you need to pass it down, or you need to do anything like that, you can pass it down, and then you need to send that into a function. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, so then if you want to fetch it the API 100%, once it is completed, then you want to run something, so it is going to wait for the code to execute, then you need to run these things, it is going to wait for it. So that is how this promises is working. The promises in the back, what is happening, the callbacks, we are controlling, we are giving the sequence of it. So this function is going to be the resolve function, and it is going to wait for this one to happen. So while we are working, while the asynchronous process is by default are not available, it is given by the browsers. So with the help of this promises, with the help of this default methods like the browser given methods, okay, so with the help of this only we can able to control the sequence. This is native to JavaScript, controlling the sequence is native to JavaScript, but this one, this fetch is also an web API that is provided by the browsers. Okay, so the browser provided this fetch API. So by default, we will use before that we will use some third party APIs to fetch something to work with the API. But right now we have the fetch API itself, and we can able to work with it. Okay, so this is how everything will in asynchronous is be there, and we will connect and we will write the code and work with that. And the asynchronous is a little bit huge topic. Not only this, and you can able to see the promises is little bit bigger in syntax, right? So that is further reduced by the async and await. So async and await is nothing but, so it will do the exactly the same thing what is the promises is going to do. But the one thing is about is in async and await, we can able to write the code in a lesser syntax, okay, and lesser syntax, and also we can able to understand the code much easier compared to using the then. Instead of using the then and everything, what we can do, you can use the two keywords async and await. If it is an asynchronous function, use async, and wherever you want to wait, you want to use an await. Like that, you can able to put the keyword and you can able to wait it, and that we will discuss in some out. I mean, if you work with any other things, means we will discuss that one. Okay, so this is about async. So by default, the simplest by default JavaScript is a synchronous single-threaded language. With the help of this browser, it can able to perform the multitasking functionality. But while performing multitasking functionality, so because of the JavaScript native behavior, so it is going to run all the native code. So we're going to lost our sequence of control. So that is why this promises, callbacks, and everything. The callback is going to be the base fundamentals for the sequence control, and that is why this promises and everything is used to control the sequence while we are working with the asynchronous process. Okay, so that is what it is going to be controlled. That is why it is used for it. Okay, so that's what it's all of. Okay, so and what is runtime environment, that is also an important one, and I will find, if I found that website to work with runtime environment, I will definitely share with you. So that is an old school website, and not even that is also not working properly also. So let me do one thing, just a minute, I will share you an link. Okay, so you can able to in that website you can able to visually see how JavaScript runtime environment is working in each and every time that you are working with it. Okay, async, very good. Yeah, yeah, async and await is very good. Yeah, it's good. Working with async is good because working with the synchronous process is not that good. Okay, so the asynchronous is needed because whenever you want to handle working with the APIs and those things, the asynchronous process is going to be everything, because you need to wait for something to happen. So this will happen. Okay, so it is going to be everything. So once you understand the async only, the most of the backend activities, backend work that you're going to work with the servers and everything. Server is all about async. Like you need to wait for something to happen and something to respond, something to wait, right? So server in most of the places you will async. You will use the asynchronous and working with the file systems. If you want to add some files, remove some files, and in during that time you will use the async and await. Like asynchronous process will be used. API calls in front end majorly two places in the DOM manipulations. That DOM manipulation is also in API async process only. Okay, because that is not something related to JavaScript. It is an asynchronous process only. And also for working with APIs, that is main cases. So to connecting the backend with front end, we will use the API only, right? So this with the help of this API only, you can able to connect your backend with your front end, right? So in that process you need to wait for all your data to come. Without the getting the data you are rendering, it means nothing will show in your browser. That is what it is. So front end, it is DOMs, DOM manipulation, timers, and APIs, the fetch API. So that's what it is. These three things is important. Other than that, backend activities mostly it will be used for the async is mostly we will use it and we will work with that. Okay, so yeah, I will share the WhatsApp group also. Don't worry. Check this. This is the fourth day of attendance. So day four attendance. Okay, you can check this out. You can check this out. It's a day four attendance. Just fill it down attendance, and once you fill the attendance, just tell it in the chat box. Filled. I am filled. Okay. So I will just see who all are, how many of you filled in the day four. Okay. So I just want to see that. Okay. And what is the group? I will share you the group link. Okay. You can join inside this group link. Okay. Here you can see, I will. The second link is going to be the WhatsApp group link. You can join the group link if you want to. If you want to ask any questions or queries are related to the paid bootcamps or any other courses, you can ask that. Okay, so everything is handled by the management team. So you can just ask with the TWD team. They will be really helpful. And whatever the question that you want to ask, you can ask it there. And whatever the upcoming events, and if you filled all the day 4 days of all 4 days. Attendance form, then the certificate is issued. You will be get notified in this WhatsApp group also. Okay, so mostly before Monday you will receive your certificate for this 4 days of JavaScript before Monday evening. Okay, you will receive your JavaScript certificate and you will get notified in the all the WhatsApp group, and also you will get notified in the LinkedIn also. Okay, you can follow Navid Vishwas sir in the LinkedIn to get if the certificate is issued. So he will put a post and tag you all the person who completed the all persons who completed the certification process. He will tag you your name and everything. Okay, so in this form, that is why we are asking for the LinkedIn details to share with you. We will tag with you, so you will get mentioned, you will get notified during that time also, and you can connect with all the peoples that Rabbit Business are having connection with them. Okay, so you can just connect with them also. That's also fine. Okay, so that's what it is. And just give up, just tell if you filled the form means just tell filled. Okay, because I'm going to end this live within 2 minutes. Okay, just tell it is if you filled it means. Okay, guys. Thank you for all. Thank you all. Okay, I hope that you everyone is filled and joined in the WhatsApp group. Okay, so see you in another workshop. 4 days or 5 days of workshop in the upcoming month. Okay, so thank you all.